Good morning. It is Monday, September 2nd, and this is a special edition of Michigan Mornings from Ave Maria Radio and the Ave Maria Radio app. I'm Matthew Handley. I hope you're having a good start to your Labor Day. We will be foregoing the news and weather today, and instead I'll be sharing some inspiration for you on this civic holiday. This first reading is the Parable of Talents, which is from the lectionary for Mass for the Blessing of Human Labor. It comes from Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 to 30. For it will be as when a man going on a journey called his servants and entrusted to him his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them and made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more. His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master." And he who had the 2 talents came forward, saying, "Master, you delivered me 2 talents. Here I've made you 2 talents more." His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You, too, have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master." He also who had received the 1 talent came forward, saying, "Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you did not winnow. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours." But his master answered him, "You wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sowed and gather where I have not winnowed? Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But for him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. There men will weep and gnash their teeth." I'm Matthew Handley. You're listening to a special edition of Michigan Mornings on this Labor Day. That was a reading from the Parable of the Talents from the Gospel of Matthew, which is found in the lectionary for Mass for the Blessing of Human Labor. Coming up, we'll be hearing a homily from Pope Francis on work being the vocation of man. Now this.
Persecution around the world has manifested itself through the centuries, but it is worse today than ever before. Aid to the Church in Need and its donors have been there to help since 1947, never abandoning the Church or her most vulnerable children. Will you stand up for your faith and accompany our brothers and sisters on their spiritual journey? Visit churchinneed.org. churchinneed.org.
Welcome back to a special edition of Michigan Mornings on this Labor Day. I'm Matthew Handley. This is a homily from Pope Francis that he gave on May 1st, 2020, entitled "Work is the Vocation of Man." God created. That's from Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. A creator. He created the world, he created man, and he gave man and woman a mission to manage, to work with, and bring forward creation. And the Bible uses the word work to express this activity of God. He completed the work he had been doing, and he rested on the 7th day, after all his work of creating. And he gives this activity to man. You need to do this, take care of this and that, and you need to work so as to create with me, as if he were saying this, so that this world might continue. To the point that work is none other than the continuation of God's work, human work is man's vocation received from God at the end of the creation of the universe. Work makes the human person similar to God because with work, man is a creator, capable of creating many things, also of creating a family to raise. The human person is a creator and creates through work. This is his vocation, and it says in the Bible that God saw all that he had made, and indeed it was very good. That is, work had goodness within it of itself, and creates the harmony of things, beauty, goodness, and involves man in everything, in his thought, his actions, everything. Man is involved in work. It is man's first vocation, to work, and this gives dignity to man, the dignity that makes him resemble God, the dignity of work. Once a man went to Caritas, a man who had no employment, and went to ask for help for his family. An employee of Caritas who gave him something to eat said to him, "At least you can take some food home." "But this is not enough for me," was the answer. "I want to earn the food I take home." He was lacking the dignity of making the bread himself through work and taking it home. The dignity of work, which is trampled on, unfortunately. Every injustice inflicted on a person who works tramples on human dignity. Also, the dignity of the one who does this injustice. It lowers the level, and we end up with that tension that exists between a dictator and a slave. Instead, the vocation that God gives us is so good, to create, to recreate, to work. But this can be done when the conditions are right and the dignity of the person is respected. Again, that's from a homily from May of 2020 by Pope Francis entitled "Work is the Vocation of Man." I'm Matthew Handley. That does it for this special edition of Michigan Mornings on this Labor Day. I hope you have a good and restful rest of your civic holiday. Lord willing, I'll talk to you again tomorrow. And until then, goodbye.